Hey guys, so earlier today I finally got around to seeing the new Robocop remake. I would have posted this earlier, but I was really dead tired after I got out of the theater. I worked a 4 a.m. to 11 a.m. shift right before I saw the movie, so I was just needing to take a nap. Um, and this this movie I would have gone seen yesterday, but I kind of that was my original plan, but I kind of got sidetracked and was really dead tired. And I wanted to see this movie before tomorrow because I live in Ohio, and part of Ohio I live in, apparently we're going to get a snowstorm tomorrow, and I didn't want to really risk my life going to see a Robocop remake by driving out in a winter storm. It's been really crappy out lately. We've had really bad weather. I'm sure a lot of people watching this in America have been getting bad weather too. But anyways, before I get into my review for the remake, I figure I should give you my thoughts on the original RoboCop. Um, Honestly, before a couple days ago, I'd never watched the whole thing the whole way through. I know that's a shock probably to some people, but I don't know why it took me so long to do that, but it just I never got around to watching the whole thing the whole way through. And you know what? The original movie is a classic, no fucking doubt. It's still holds up even almost 30 years later, and it's still a really good, really fun action movie, especially an 80s action movie, which I love 80s action movies. I have no problem with them whatsoever. The 80s produced some of the best action movies out there. Um, this movie had uh, great characters, a great story, some great effects, and overall, it was a movie that stood the test of time. It does have some goofy moments, though, that some people ignore when they talk about how great of a movie it is and how classic of a movie it is. That I do want to address. Like, there is some goofy acting in this movie, particularly what the fuck was up with the I want to buy it. I wouldn't buy that. I want to buy that. Or was it? I want to buy that for $1. Like that whole running gag that kept going on throughout the whole movie. I just didn't get what the hell why they kept cutting to that. It was pretty memorable. I know it's a pretty famous line from the original, but um, it was like, what the hell was the point of that? But it was I also kind of at the same time wanted to see that show that they were showing on TV. I was like, what the hell is going on in that TV show? I'm kind of curious. Um, Also, some of the you know also what's the movie does have the same problem that a lot of 80s action movies have. One of them in particular is the fact that despite the bad guys having military grade weapons at the end that blow shit up pretty damn easily, they cannot hit a gigantic robot walking slowly towards them. Uh, and I call it the Arnold Schwarzenegger effect. Like most Arnold Schwarzenegger movies back in the 80s, he had a lot of scenes in his movies, if you ever watched them, that were he'd be walking towards people and or villains, and they could not shoot him for some reason, even though he's a huge Austrian. That's really hard to miss. I never got that. Also, my favorite scene in the whole freaking movie is the part where RoboCop fights the ED-209, and the fight goes into the stairwell, and this ED-209 is like a Terminator-esque robot. In my opinion, it was definite showing that Terminator probably had some inspiration on the original RoboCop, and the fight goes into the stairwell. And I know people have probably seen the original probably know what I'm talking about. The scene where The part where freaking the ED-209, this high-tech military-grade weapon, can't walk down the stairs and falls down the stairs and falls on its back and is squealing like a pig. I was like, I couldn't stop laughing when I first saw that. And the fact that this Robocop just calmly walks away, that was pretty funny. That scenes like that, I mean, I'm not complaining at all, because these scenes were memorable, and the movie, stuff like this didn't hinder the movie whatsoever. They made it more entertaining. But anyways, with this remake, like a lot of people, I wasn't exactly looking forward to it. Especially after I watched the original and loved the original. I figured, oh great, oh god, I'm going to be more pissed off about the remake now that I've seen the whole original the whole way through. And I wasn't mad, like, going in, like, that they're making all these changes. I was fine with it, because I was glad that they're not exactly doing the exact same story this time and trying to do something original with the Robocop franchise. So, now that I've seen it, what did I think of it? I'm going to be honest. This movie wasn't very good. It wasn't. My main problem with the movie was that it was kind of boring. And also, it wasn't very memorable whatsoever. I walked away going, God, I would probably forget about this movie, like, within a month's time. Even seeing this movie. I kind of was more angry when I first walked out of the theater. And as I was driving home, I kind of calmed a little bit more down, because I was like, yeah, there was some good stuff here and there about the movie, but the bad outweighed the good, in my opinion. I'll name a couple good things. One, some of the acting in this movie. You got some pretty awesome actors in this film that, when I first saw that they were making the Robocop remake, I saw that these people were in it, I kind of was sold on it a little bit. Including Michael Keaton, Gary Oldman, Samuel Jackson, and Jackie Earle Haley. All four guys that kind of have minor roles, although Michael Keaton has the bigger, Gary Oldman does, and Gary Oldman and Michael Keaton have the bigger roles. All four of them are pretty good in this movie. They have some fun roles, especially like Michael Keaton and Samuel Jackson. They're kind of camping it up a little bit. Samuel Jackson plays like a Bill O'Reilly-esque host of a TV show in the future that plays at the beginning of the movie and at the end of the movie. Some reason Samuel Jackson's the last thing you see in Robocop. I thought where he goes on it has a monologue where he uses the word motherfucker, because it's Samuel Jackson. He has to use the word motherfucker in one of his movies. It's like, it really wasn't necessary, but and they bleep out the word fucker too. Even though you can use the word fuck in PG-13 at least only once. I've seen the word fuck in a couple of PG-13 movies, which I didn't understand why they bleeped it out. They could have still used it. And you probably will. Also, I thought the story at first was interesting. I thought the beginning of the movie kind of introduced some interesting ideas, like the fact that the beginning it shows like that they have these military grade weapons that are like in these American occupied countries that basically are kind of taking away these people's freedom, and I figured it was like kind of going in that route. I thought it was kind of timely, the subject of the what was going on at the beginning was kind of timely. I thought it was kind of going that route during the beginning. I thought if this is where this movie's going, it can kind of go some interesting places, but unfortunately it doesn't. Um, I also thought the movie didn't look too bad. Also, I thought there was one disturbing part. One of the things I liked about the original one of the things about the original was there was a lot of disturbing shit in that movie. Like the scene, obviously, where Alex Murphy gets blown away by the bad guys. He That was pretty disturbing. There was a pretty disturbing moment in this movie when you find out, when they actually take off all the exoskeleton of Robocop and show what is left of Alex Murphy. It is kind of disturbing. I was like, man, that's terrible. Like, I would just kill me now. I kind of agree with the guy. Like, just fucking kill me now. It is pretty much nothing is left of him. Like in the original, I think they saved his body, but in this movie, he is just basically organs. That's it. In a hand and a head. That's it. It's really fucking weird. And I also will say that this movie was pretty shot pretty good. It looked nice, looked pretty, and then there was, and also I also liked that when there were action scenes, even though I didn't care too much for some of the action scenes, that for most part the fucking director held the camera still, and if it was given to another director, this movie would have been shaky cam all over the fucking place. And I'm glad that the guy actually kept the camera fucking still for pretty much the majority of the movie. I could actually tell what was going on. That was nice. Well, I guess I can go into now the negatives. If you noticed when I was talking about the acting in this movie, I did not mention any of the main actors. There's a reason. I did not like them, especially the new guy that played Robocop. This guy is no Peter Weller, and I know it's kind of unfair to compare him to Peter Weller, but you know, this guy I thought was kind of bad. He had no charisma whatsoever. I thought he was flat as a fucking board. I just thought he wasn't very good. Wasn't that great of an actor. I felt he was robotic even before he fucking became Robocop. Actually, his performance is actually not the worst thing about the movie. Abby Cornish, who plays his wife, is fucking pointless and honestly shows about barely any fucking emotion in this movie. Like, even when her husband gets blown up by his car at the beginning, because that's what happens that caused him to become Robocop, instead of him being blown to bits by the bad guys, like with shotguns. He gets blown up by a car, and she discovers him, and there's like literally no fucking emotion. Instead of like somebody freaking the fuck out seeing her husband laying there almost half dead, she just looks fine with it, honestly. Doesn't really show any fucking emotion. I just couldn't stand her. There was no point to her, the son, whatsoever. Didn't need to be there. There was no chemistry between her and the husband, her and the guy, Alex Murphy, whatsoever, in my opinion. She was barely in the fucking movie. When she did, I was like, there was no point to her being there. Other than to have him have a family. Even though he did have a family in the original, you don't see them. And I was fine with that. I would have been fine with having a family in this one being prevalent, as long as they had there was a point to it. Also, I dare any fucking person, anybody who sees this movie, to name me the villain of this movie. I know people say Michael Keaton, spoiler alert, but there's a character in this movie that is obviously supposed to be the equivalent to Clarence, who was a fucking memorable villain in the first one. Very memorable. He was uncomfortable. I liked that he was a memorable, well-developed character, villain in that movie, the original. This, the equivalent to that character, or the Clarence character in this movie, literally is in the beginning of the movie, barely is given a, not really given a backstory whatsoever, and like there's no reason as to why barely that he is attacking Alex Murphy, and then after Alex Murphy becomes a Robocop, you don't see this villain character whatsoever for another fucking hour. No joke. Until Robocop eventually says, maybe I'm going to go investigate the death of Alex Murphy. And it was just, at that point, it was like almost an hour and a half into the movie, and honestly, I felt like, okay, this is going to be the end of it. It was one of those things that I thought it was going to be the end of it, because, I mean, that was the main storyline going in. And it kind of felt like I said, it just felt so forgotten about. And like only an hour and a half into the movie does Alex Murphy say, "Oh, maybe I should look into my own death." It's like just a plot convenience. I dare anybody to name the villain in this movie. He was not developed whatsoever. And then like after that villain is gone, then do they decide to, oh well, like, we should do what we did in the original in the last 30 minutes and make Michael Keaton and the corporation that he works for the villain in this movie. That kind of comes out fucking nowhere. Literally, I felt that storyline really came out of nowhere, and it was just there. It felt like it was just there because it was in the original. Thought it was really fucking weird. Anybody else think this is weird that the corporation doesn't own the cops like they do in the original? Although I think they kind of hint at that at the end, like an hour and a half into it. But I'm not 100% fucking sure by that point. I didn't fucking care. Oh, what the fuck else? I'm always drawing a blank because with this movie. Oh fuck. What else I'm trying to sit here and think what else I didn't fucking like about this movie, because there's more. Also, damn it, I'm trying to fucking blank. Sorry. Also, like I said at the beginning, where you thought they kind of were going like a different route with the story, like making it more timely. That storyline at the beginning kind of goes fucking nowhere. I thought maybe Robocop would go overseas to control our countries, but no, that don't fucking happen. There's no the movie doesn't take place in a crime-ridden Detroit, which I thought was fucking weird. You can still set it in Detroit. I mean, I think it is still, yeah, it is still in Detroit, but Detroit looks pretty fucking fine in this movie compared to the original. And honestly, you could have had, it was easy to have the movie take place in Detroit, with Detroit being the way it is nowadays, and they don't take advantage of that whatsoever. There is no fucking character development. There's no character development whatsoever in this movie, and that drove me nuts too. Also, okay, if you're gonna fucking, I hate when movies, when these remakes come out and they try to say it's not a remake, it's a reboot. It's not a remake of the original, it's a reboot. For the most part, this movie does do some things differently, a lot of things differently. But at the same time, they have to make nods, wink, wink, winks, at the wink to the towards the camera with like references to the original. Like at one fucking point, I knew there was probably gonna be a reference. I kind of knew going in. I'm like, yeah, I bet you $1 million there's gonna be a reference to this line. When they show Robocop in a testing phase against another robot, fighting another robot, Jay Birchall at one point says, I am not joking, he says this, he goes, I wouldn't buy that for $1. I was like, really? You had to fucking use that line? And also, like I said, at the end, they kind of tack on that line about the corporation being the evil ones. I felt like, also, like I said, there was a whole theme to the original. You know, there was a whole point to the original. There was like, you know, a whole message in the original film. And this one felt like there was no fucking point to it whatsoever. There wasn't no theme. There wasn't no anything that the movie was trying to say like the original did. And I just, yeah, this movie was not very good. It wasn't. I couldn't get around the lead. Couldn't support the lead actor. I thought he wasn't very good. I also think it's bullshit that almost half the fucking movie you see Robocop's face. I know that's kind of a complaint that only a person that's seen the original would make, but if you have the right actor, you that can only act with only half his face, like his mouth showing, like Peter Weller did. The whole movie, he was wearing that Robocop mask the whole time, pretty much, and didn't have a flip up visor that showed his face every scene he was in. He kept that visor on. He had the mask on the whole time, except towards the end. But in this movie, he has the flip up visor up and showing his face almost the whole fucking movie. And honestly, I didn't understand that. Like, even fucking movies like Dread, you have a good example of you have a good actor like Carl Urban, who acted with just a fucking a hood on the whole time and was really good in it. It showed more emotion than almost people without hoods on the movies. Who was it? Hugo Weaving did that also with fucking V for Vendetta. It's proven that you can do that effectively, act effectively, even with a mask or a hood or whatever. But the guy wasn't a good actor in the fucking first place. I mean, it does. I think that fact that there was a flip up fucking visor in this movie did kind of bother me. It didn't really fucking either. I thought I did. At first, the new look of Robocop did bother me a little bit, but I thought it looked okay. I thought the suit looked okay. You know what? When I saw the flip up visor, I immediately thought, I heard a lot of people compare this new Robocop look to Iron Man, and you know what? It exactly looks like fucking Iron Man, like the way it's made and stuff like that. I agree. It's obviously inspired by fucking Iron Man. The way it sounds too, kind of sounds like the Iron Man suit. What else? I guess that's about it. Honestly, if you're curious, I guess I would say rent it. I wouldn't say go see it in the theater whatsoever. Only if you're curious. If you liked the movie, let me know why. I just didn't. I thought it was I didn't think it was the worst thing I've seen. You know, it probably is the worst movie I've seen this year so far. But I guarantee it probably won't even be on my top 5 worst films of the year list come at the end of the year. I'm sure it'll be a lot worse than this. I was just kind of just bored, and it wasn't memorable like the original. The original is way fucking memorable, and really, I'd rather be watching that movie instead of this movie. And for fuck's sake, I know this would be complaining like everybody else, but that PG-13 rating was fucking stupid. Like, yeah, this movie if you're making a RoboCop remake, you should make it fucking PG-13 just to cover up the fucking violence in this movie. Instead of using guns, a lot of times RoboCop is just shooting people with tasers. That's it. Instead of guns, so that they can cover up the PG-13 rating. Although there are at points where RoboCop is using a gun, but it's very randomly when he does. And when he does, it's one of those movies that when a person gets shot, there's no blood whatsoever. Whatso-fucking-ever. Nobody fucking bleeds, nothing. And after watching RoboCop, you're gonna kind of call bullshit. Originally, you kind of call bullshit. I mean, when somebody gets shot in real life, they fucking bleed. Whatever. Yeah, like I said, unless you're really curious, don't go see it. As far as trailers, did get a new one, which was that that The Purge Anarchy, which, man, that kind of sucks that Matt Saracen and his girlfriend get their car breaks down right before the purge happens and they're stuck in the streets. That could kind of be good, but I don't give a shit, really. I didn't care too much for the purge that much. I thought it was alright. I hope maybe this will be better, but I highly doubt it. Anyways, I'm getting off here. I'll be back probably tomorrow with or sometime this week with Saving Mr. Banks. It finally came to the cheap theater, so I'm gonna finally get around to watching that. So I'll see you guys later.